History sometimes records events that go beyond skill. They reveal philosophy, instinct, and true mastery. One unforgettable instance unfolded when 5 dangerous thugs cornered Bruce Lee, convinced that intimidation would make him yield. What they failed to realize was that Bruce Lee's power wasn't in sheer strength alone, it resided in his sharp mind, perfect timing, and unshakable composure. In a matter of seconds, a single, precise move transformed the situation completely, leaving them stunned and unconscious with fear not out of cruelty, but because mastery spoke louder than aggression. This encounter was more than a fight. It was a lesson in awareness, control, and the quiet force of restraint. Today, we uncover 7 profound lessons from this event, each offering insight into courage, discipline, and decision-making that transcends martial arts and applies to life itself. Awareness is the foundation of all true mastery, and Bruce Lee demonstrated this with extraordinary clarity in the encounter with the 5 thugs. He didn't simply notice their presence. He absorbed every detail of the situation, observing the subtle shifts in their posture, the tension in their muscles, and the fleeting expressions that betrayed their intentions. Each twitch of the eye, each flex of the hand, and every micro-movement conveyed critical information about their readiness, aggression, and mindset. By being fully present and aware, Bruce Lee gained a strategic advantage before any physical confrontation even began. Awareness allowed him to understand not only what was happening in the moment, but also what could happen in the next seconds, giving him a mental map of the situation that no amount of speed or strength alone could provide. This kind of acute perception is often overlooked by those who rely solely on physical ability. Most people think power comes from force, speed, or technique, but Bruce Lee knew that true power begins in the mind. Seeing clearly, understanding fully, and anticipating outcomes are what allows someone to act with precision rather than blindly. He could read the intentions of the thugs as easily as reading a book, recognizing when fear, arrogance, or hesitation might influence their next move. That knowledge became his first weapon, shaping the encounter before he even made a single motion. Awareness allows for control over outcomes. It provides a pause between stimulus and response, a space where judgment can replace instinctive reaction. Many fights, arguments, or conflicts escalate simply because people fail to perceive the full picture before acting. Bruce Lee's calm observation illustrates that the strongest response often comes from insight rather than impulse. By taking the time to notice what others overlook, he could craft a response that was not only effective but also measured, ensuring that the result served his purpose without unnecessary risk. Awareness extends beyond the immediate environment. Bruce Lee's understanding included the psychological state of his opponents, the potential consequences of his actions, and the moral and strategic implications of engaging. He knew that reacting prematurely could escalate the situation into something far more dangerous. By observing first, he preserved his energy, minimized danger, and prepared for a response that required minimal effort but maximum effect. The ability to see clearly and understand fully is what separates those who survive encounters from those who succumb to them. Awareness also teaches patience and discipline. In that critical moment, Bruce Lee's observation was not passive. It was active and intentional. Every second he spent analyzing the situation increased his control over what was about to unfold. This principle applies to life beyond martial arts, whether in business, relationships, or personal challenges. Success often depends on the ability to assess before acting. Reacting without full awareness may achieve immediate results, but it often comes with consequences that could have been avoided through careful observation. Awareness creates confidence without aggression. Bruce Lee's knowledge of his surroundings and the behavior of the thugs meant he did not need to assert dominance immediately. He could wait, measure, and strike with complete certainty when the moment was optimal. Confidence rooted in understanding is silent but potent, and it naturally commands respect. People often mistake visible aggression for power, but Bruce Lee's example shows that the quiet, calculated awareness of a master is far more intimidating than any show of brute strength. Awareness is not merely seeing, it is perceiving, understanding, and anticipating. It transforms information into actionable insight. When Bruce Lee stood before the 5 thugs, he was not reacting. He was orchestrating the encounter from a position of clarity and knowledge. He understood the environment, the people, and the potential consequences, allowing him to act decisively and effectively. In life, Cultivating this level of awareness allows us to navigate challenges with intelligence rather than force, ensuring that our actions carry purpose, precision, and impact. The encounter with the thugs serves as a powerful reminder that true mastery begins in the mind, and that awareness, above all else, is the first and most important weapon a person can possess. Calmness is one of the most underestimated forms of power, and Bruce Lee exemplified this in the encounter with the 5 thugs. While many individuals confronted by multiple opponents would feel their hearts race, muscles tense uncontrollably, and minds clouded with fear, Bruce Lee maintained a state of profound composure. This calmness was not passive, it was deliberate, a conscious decision to govern his own mind before reacting to external chaos. When a person is calm, the world around them often shifts in response, and in that moment, Bruce Lee's mental control became the defining factor. His presence alone altered the dynamics of the confrontation, demonstrating that mastery over one's internal state can dominate external circumstances more effectively than brute force ever could. Calmness serves as a stabilizing force. In situations of extreme stress, most people react impulsively, making mistakes that escalate risk and compromise their safety. Panic is contagious, often amplifying tension among everyone present, including aggressors. Bruce Lee's unwavering composure created the opposite effect, a stabilizing influence that allowed him to assess the situation accurately, recognize opportunities, and anticipate the thugs' reactions before they even acted. By projecting calm, he disrupted their expectations and introduced uncertainty, which is a psychological advantage in any confrontation. Calmness, in this way, becomes a tool for controlling not just the self, but the entire environment. Mental clarity and emotional control are deeply intertwined with calmness. Bruce Lee's ability to regulate his emotions allowed him to respond strategically rather than reflexively. Every decision he made in that intense encounter was informed by observation and judgment rather than fear or anger. His restraint prevented escalation, reduced risk, and maximized effectiveness. The ability to maintain composure under pressure is often what separates those who survive critical encounters from those who falter. In martial arts, as in life, acting from panic rarely produces favorable outcomes. Acting from clarity almost always does. Calmness influences the perception of others. The 5 thugs, expecting hesitation or aggression, were confronted instead with complete self-possession. This quiet, commanding presence disrupted their confidence and destabilized their approach. When someone demonstrates unwavering control over their emotions, it signals competence, awareness, and readiness, often causing opponents to hesitate or miscalculate. Bruce Lee's calmness was a non-verbal message that he was neither afraid nor impulsive, and this silent communication can be more powerful than any strike. Calmness also allows for the preservation of energy. When one panics, the body consumes excessive energy in futile movements, shallow breathing, and heightened tension. Bruce Lee's composed state ensured that every movement he made, if needed, would be precise, deliberate, and efficient. Energy management is crucial in confrontations, as unnecessary expenditure can quickly reduce effectiveness. His calm approach not only protected him physically, but also maintained mental sharpness, allowing him to respond with maximum efficiency if the situation demanded action. Calmness provides space for decision-making. In the face of multiple attackers, most people feel compressed, trapped, and overwhelmed, making rational thought nearly impossible. Bruce Lee, however, expanded the space around him internally, creating room to analyze, plan, and act if necessary. Calmness turns high-pressure situations into manageable ones by slowing down perception and focusing attention on what truly matters. In essence, calmness acts like a lens, bringing clarity to chaos, allowing mastery over situations that would otherwise feel uncontrollable. The lesson extends beyond physical confrontations. Life often presents multiple attackers in the form of stress, deadlines, conflict, or emotional turmoil. The principle remains the same. Calmness controls the chaos. By mastering the internal state, we gain the ability to influence external circumstances, anticipate outcomes, and navigate challenges with intelligence rather than reaction. Bruce Lee's example reminds us that true power begins with the mind. Calmness is not weakness. It is a strategic choice, a demonstration of authority over oneself, and an essential ingredient for mastery. By remaining calm, Bruce Lee neutralized fear, disarmed aggression, and maintained the upper hand without striking, proving that the quiet strength of the mind can dominate far more effectively than physical force ever could. In any confrontation, especially one involving multiple attackers, raw physical power can only take a person so far. Bruce Lee's encounter with the five thugs demonstrated that precision, not brute force, is the ultimate differentiator in moments of extreme danger. Every movement he made was calculated with exact timing, clear intent, and targeted purpose. The power of a punch or kick is meaningless without accuracy. Strength applied indiscriminately can be wasted, leaving openings for opponents to exploit. Bruce Lee's mastery lay in knowing not just what to strike, but when and how to strike, ensuring that even against overwhelming numbers, each action carried maximum effect with minimum effort. Precision is fundamentally about understanding the dynamics of the situation. Bruce Lee's awareness allowed him to identify the critical points where intervention would neutralize the threat immediately. Instead of reacting with uncontrolled aggression, he analyzed the angles, timing, and body language of each thug. This understanding gave him the ability to anticipate their movements, intercept attacks before they happened, and deliver responses that were perfectly synchronized with the flow of the encounter. The elegance of his movements masked their deadly effectiveness. To an untrained observer, they might have seemed effortless or even casual, yet each action was purposeful and decisive. Physical strength, by itself, can be overwhelming in controlled scenarios like gyms or sparring sessions. But real-life encounters are rarely predictable. Multiple attackers introduce chaos, unpredictability, and rapid shifts in risk. In such conditions, unrefined power becomes a liability rather than an advantage. Bruce Lee understood that precision allows for control within chaos. By striking exactly where needed and moving only as necessary, he minimized exposure while maximizing impact. Every motion was economy in action, nothing wasted, nothing superfluous, nothing left to chance. Precision is also a matter of mental discipline. The ability to focus intently on the critical aspects of a situation while ignoring distractions is what allows skill to translate into effective action. Bruce Lee's mental acuity ensured that he was never overwhelmed, never distracted by the sheer size or aggression of his opponents. Each thug presented a potential threat, but by concentrating on the most critical points of contact and the moments that would yield the greatest control, he neutralized all five without unnecessary force. Precision, in this sense, is both a physical and cognitive quality, a harmonization of mind and body. Another aspect of precision is timing. Even the most powerful strike will fail if delivered too early or too late. Bruce Lee's timing was impeccable, allowing him to respond exactly when the moment required. By syncing movement with the precise instant of opportunity, he transformed potential danger into resolution with minimal effort. The five attackers, likely anticipating brute reactions, were caught off guard by the fluidity, accuracy, and decisiveness of his response. Timing, combined with exact targeting, made his actions not just effective but unavoidable. Efficiency is embedded in precision. Bruce Lee's movements were lean, efficient, and economical, a direct contrast to the wasted energy of those relying solely on strength. Efficiency is critical in high-pressure situations. Overextension or excessive effort can create vulnerabilities. Bruce Lee's ability to deliver maximum control with minimum movement demonstrates that precision is not merely about hitting the right target, but doing so in a way that conserves energy, maintains balance, and leaves the practitioner ready for any subsequent developments. Efficiency ensures survival, dominance, and control, all without unnecessary exertion. The broader lesson from this encounter extends beyond physical combat. Precision is applicable to decision-making, strategy, and life itself. Applying effort exactly where it matters, with focus and clarity, yields far greater results than attempting to overwhelm problems with sheer force. Bruce Lee's actions against the five thugs illustrate that skill, when guided by precision, creates outcomes that raw strength alone cannot achieve. Mastery is measured not by how much power one has, but by how effectively one uses it. Precision, in the hands of a disciplined mind and body, transforms potentially chaotic situations into controlled outcomes, demonstrating that intelligence and focus often surpass brute force in both conflict and life. Restraint is one of the most misunderstood aspects of mastery, often mistaken for weakness or hesitation. In reality, The ability to hold back, to act only when necessary, is a hallmark of true skill and understanding. Bruce Lee's encounter with the five thugs perfectly illustrates this principle. He possessed unmatched physical ability and the knowledge to overwhelm his opponents, yet he chose to exercise deliberate restraint. This was not indecision or fear, it was an active, conscious decision rooted in awareness, intelligence, and ethical consideration. Restraint requires a combination of mental clarity, emotional stability, and confidence in one's own abilities, and Bruce Lee embodied all of these traits. Understanding when to act and when not to is a core component of mastery. Many people assume that demonstrating power or dominance is the ultimate measure of skill, but Bruce Lee's philosophy challenged this assumption. Escalation is easy. It requires minimal thought and maximal energy. Choosing restraint, on the other hand, requires foresight, patience, and the courage to prioritize outcomes over ego. By refraining from unnecessary confrontation, Bruce Lee preserved his energy, avoided potential unintended consequences, and maintained control over the situation. This approach highlights that true power is not in the immediate exertion of force, but in the ability to decide precisely when to use it, if ever. Restraint also communicates mastery to observers in ways that aggression never can. When an individual has the capacity to dominate, yet chooses not to, it signals confidence, composure, and superior understanding. In Bruce Lee's case, the thug's fear was intensified not merely by his skill, but by the calm self-restraint he exhibited. There is a subtle but powerful message in restraint. It demonstrates that one does not need to prove capability through constant action. Those who understand their own strength do not need validation from others, and this alone can neutralize threats more effectively than striking a single blow. In addition to physical restraint, there is psychological restraint. Bruce Lee recognized the importance of regulating his emotions and impulses. Confrontation often triggers fight or flight responses, leading individuals to act impulsively and escalate situations unnecessarily. By maintaining emotional balance, Bruce Lee ensured that his actions, or lack thereof, were deliberate. This control over both body and mind allowed him to assess the situation fully, anticipate outcomes, and act or refrain from acting in a manner that optimized safety, effectiveness, and long-term consequences. Emotional discipline is as crucial as physical skill in high-stakes encounters. Restraint also protects one's reputation, relationships, and moral integrity. Reacting aggressively in every challenging situation might assert dominance temporarily, but it can generate long-term consequences such as resentment, retaliation, or legal issues. Bruce Lee's choice to exercise restraint demonstrated not only mastery over his physical abilities, but also over his understanding of social and ethical dynamics. He recognized that true strength encompasses responsibility, foresight, and respect for others, even adversaries. In this sense, restraint is a form of ethical mastery as well as martial skill. The philosophy of restraint extends beyond martial encounters into everyday life. In business, leadership, and personal relationships, the impulse to respond immediately or aggressively can lead to conflict, misunderstanding, and missed opportunities. Learning when to pause, reflect, and act deliberately often results in better outcomes than reacting impulsively. Bruce Lee's handling of the situation with the five thugs exemplifies how restraint magnifies influence. By acting or choosing not to act with deliberation, he controlled not just the immediate event but also the perception of power, authority, and competence that followed. Restraint embodies self-confidence that does not rely on external validation. Many people feel compelled to assert dominance to earn respect or fear, but those who have truly mastered their craft understand that respect and authority can be communicated through presence, composure, and judicious action. Bruce Lee's restraint was an expression of this confidence. He understood that his power was inherent and that unnecessary demonstration could undermine the wisdom he sought to convey through his actions. In essence, restraint is an outward manifestation of internal mastery. Restraint also allows for strategic advantage. By not overcommitting to violence or aggressive responses, Bruce Lee maintained options, adaptability, and initiative. Engaging unnecessarily can close doors, eliminate flexibility, and introduce unforeseen risks. By holding back, he retained control over the flow of the encounter, choosing his response with maximum impact and minimal exposure. This type of strategic mastery requires an understanding that every action has consequences, and sometimes the most powerful decision is the one not taken. In high-pressure situations, restraint is rarely the popular choice. It requires resisting social pressure, adrenaline, and instinctive reactions, all of which are powerful forces compelling action. Bruce Lee's ability to maintain calm, deliberate restraint in the face of multiple attackers demonstrated a level of discipline that surpasses ordinary comprehension. This discipline is cultivated over years of training, reflection, and self-awareness, combining the mind, body, and spirit into a unified approach that prioritizes outcomes over impulse. Restraint is a critical lesson in the philosophy of mastery. Bruce Lee's decision to act with measured discretion rather than unleashing his full capability shows that true power is defined not by action alone, but by the wisdom to choose when and how to act or not act at all. This principle applies universally, teaching us that self-control, ethical judgment, and strategic thinking are as vital as skill and strength. Mastery, therefore, is measured not by how much force one can exert, but by how effectively one can choose restraint to preserve life, clarity, and long-term advantage. By mastering restraint, Bruce Lee not only controlled the immediate encounter with the five thugs, but also demonstrated a profound lesson in power, wisdom, and human potential that resonates far beyond the martial arts world. Fear, when it arises in the presence of true mastery, is rarely about terror or panic. It is a natural response to recognition of competence, skill, and authority. In the encounter with the five thugs, Bruce Lee did not strike them into submission with overwhelming violence. Rather, his mere presence, composed demeanor, and subtle demonstration of capability created a powerful psychological effect. The fear that overtook them was born not from the anticipation of pain, but from the instant comprehension that they were facing someone whose ability, timing, and understanding far exceeded their own. This type of fear is fundamentally different from the fear caused by random aggression. It is rooted in respect, in acknowledgement of superiority, and in the understanding that resistance would be futile. Bruce Lee's mastery projected itself beyond the physical realm, extending into perception, awareness, and aura. Every movement, every subtle shift of stance, and the controlled energy he emitted communicated volumes without a single word. The thugs instinctively recognized that this was no ordinary opponent, that this person's mind and body were aligned in perfect synchronization, and that any attempt to dominate or intimidate him would be immediately neutralized. This psychological effect demonstrates that true skill does not always need to be tested through action. It can be transmitted and recognized purely through presence and awareness. The fear they felt was a direct reflection of respect for his capability and composure. Respect, in this context, is an acknowledgement of a higher standard of understanding and performance. Bruce Lee's confidence was not loud, brash, or confrontational. It was quiet, controlled, and unmistakably authentic. The thugs, accustomed to bullying and asserting dominance through physical intimidation, were confronted with a form of mastery they had never encountered before. In that moment, their fear was not just of Bruce Lee's physical strikes, but of the mental clarity and strategic thinking that made him untouchable. Their perception shifted instantly. They understood the gap in skill, awareness, and control, and their bodies responded with instinctive submission to that recognition. This phenomenon illustrates a fundamental principle of influence and leadership. True authority commands recognition before action is taken. Just as a leader's confidence inspires followers, a martial artist's mastery inspires deference and caution. Bruce Lee's ability to project presence and skill created a natural hierarchy without a single punch thrown. Fear, when it stems from respect, is a signal that the observer comprehends the seriousness and authenticity of the mastery they are facing. It is an immediate, involuntary response to clarity, alignment, and excellence. Fear, rooted in respect, carries lessons that brute force cannot teach. It forces the individual to reconsider assumptions, to assess risks accurately, and to understand the consequences of their actions. The thugs, faced with Bruce Lee's unparalleled composure, were forced to confront the reality of their limitations. This moment exemplifies that mastery can guide behavior indirectly, without coercion, by establishing a presence so complete and coherent that the opponent's aggression is naturally curtailed. Fear in this sense is not a tool to be wielded, but a natural byproduct of genuine capability. Bruce Lee's approach demonstrates that psychological mastery is inseparable from physical skill. A practitioner who focuses solely on brute strength may dominate through force, but cannot command respect or induce preemptive compliance. True mastery integrates mind, body, and energy, creating an aura of inevitability. In this encounter, the thug's fear was an immediate acknowledgement of that integration. They sensed that Bruce Lee's understanding of combat extended beyond technique into anticipation, strategy, and control. Their physiological response, panic, hesitation, and fear, was evidence of his comprehensive mastery, which transcended physical confrontation. This type of fear teaches humility. The moment a person confronts someone whose capability far exceeds their own, their instinctive reactions are recalibrated. Aggression is replaced with caution, impulsive actions are suppressed, and respect for the opponent's presence becomes paramount. Bruce Lee's experience with these thugs illustrates that fear, when intertwined with respect, can create boundaries without a single blow being landed. This principle is transferable to countless life situations. Mastery in any domain, be it sports, leadership, or creative endeavor, projects an influence that others instinctively recognize and respond to, often averting conflict before it begins. The thug's reaction also highlights an essential distinction between fear induced by intimidation and fear evoked by genuine mastery. Intimidation relies on uncertainty and bluster, often forcing compliance temporarily but risking rebellion or escalation. Mastery, however, communicates certainty, competence, and alignment. Bruce Lee's presence conveyed inevitability, the clear understanding that any opposition would fail. This type of fear is profound because it is grounded in reality, not perception, and it triggers an instinctive respect that reshapes behavior immediately. This encounter teaches an important life lesson. The most effective demonstrations of power are not always visible or violent. True mastery creates influence by aligning skill, presence, and judgment in ways that naturally command attention and respect. The fear experienced by the five thugs was a byproduct of clarity, precision, and confidence. Bruce Lee's control over himself, the situation, and his own energy created a psychological impact as potent as any physical strike. This teaches us that presence, composure, and mastery of self can be more decisive than sheer action, illustrating that influence is often earned quietly, internally, and unmistakably, leaving a lasting imprint on those who witness it. Bruce Lee's encounter with the five thugs illustrates a critical truth about both combat and life. It is not the quantity of effort or the intensity of motion that determines the outcome, but the quality, timing, and intention behind a single decisive action. In this instance, he did not rely on a flurry of strikes or continuous engagement to assert dominance or control. Instead, he carefully observed the environment, assessed the behavior and positioning of the aggressors, and identified the precise moment where his intervention would have maximum effect. This approach demonstrates that one perfectly executed move, grounded in awareness and strategy, can alter the course of a confrontation entirely. It is a lesson that transcends martial arts, applying equally to decision-making, leadership, and personal challenges. In the moment when Bruce Lee acted, every element aligned: his understanding of human behavior, his precise control over his body, and his clarity of intention. These factors created a ripple effect. The aggressors, who had initially relied on intimidation and numbers, suddenly found themselves paralyzed by the unexpectedness and precision of his response. The situation, which could have escalated into chaos and injury, was resolved in a fraction of the time because one calculated action replaced continuous struggle. This demonstrates that preparation, patience, and mental acuity often outweigh raw force or reckless action. The lesson here is simple but profound. Thoughtful, measured effort can achieve results that brute force alone cannot. The concept of one move extends beyond physical encounters into strategic thinking. In business, negotiation, or personal decisions, the tendency to overreact or engage repeatedly can create unnecessary complications. Bruce Lee's philosophy suggests that assessing conditions carefully and waiting for the moment when action will be most effective produces a higher return on effort. The principle emphasizes efficiency. A single, well-timed intervention can resolve tension, prevent further escalation, and preserve resources, energy, and composure. This efficiency is a hallmark of mastery, showing that wisdom often manifests in restraint and precision rather than volume or spectacle. Timing, in particular, plays a crucial role in this principle. Acting too early may waste energy or create unintended consequences, while acting too late can allow a situation to spiral beyond control. Bruce Lee's ability to synchronize his awareness, judgment, and physical execution ensured that his single move was both appropriate and effective. The thugs were not given an opportunity to recover or react because the strike arrived at the optimal point, demonstrating the power of timing as a force multiplier. In any situation where stakes are high, recognizing when to act and when to remain still is often more valuable than continuous exertion of energy. This principle also highlights the importance of preparation and experience. Bruce Lee's capacity to execute a decisive action came not from instinct alone, but from years of training, observation, and study. Preparation allows one to identify the precise moment when a single intervention can achieve maximum effect. Without this foundation, a decisive move risks failure or misjudgment. The encounter with the thugs exemplifies how mastery combines mental clarity, technical skill, and strategic thinking to achieve results efficiently and with minimal collateral impact. The notion that one move can change everything emphasizes psychological impact. The effectiveness of Bruce Lee's action was amplified because it demonstrated confidence, control, and certainty. The aggressors were confronted not just with skill, but with the unmistakable awareness and decisiveness behind it. This psychological effect disrupted their expectations, caused hesitation, and forced recognition of his dominance. In life and conflict alike, a single strategic action can produce disproportionate influence because it signals clarity of thought, alignment of intention, and command over circumstances. Another important aspect of this principle is the reduction of risk. By focusing energy on one decisive action rather than prolonged engagement, Bruce Lee minimized exposure to danger. Extended confrontations increase unpredictability, fatigue, and the likelihood of mistakes. A single, well-considered move reduces variables and maintains control, allowing the practitioner to act with confidence while conserving resources. This idea translates into life scenarios where measured, intentional action often yields better results than reactive or scattered efforts, and teaches the value of strategic patience. The concept encourages deep observation and patience. One cannot act decisively without first understanding the situation fully. Bruce Lee's mastery was not only physical but also intellectual and perceptual. By observing the thugs and the dynamics of the encounter before acting, he ensured that his intervention would be decisive, precise, and effective. This reinforces a broader lesson. In any complex situation, patience, observation, and analysis are prerequisites for action that changes outcomes significantly. Acting impulsively may produce immediate effects, but rarely with the same efficiency or authority as a deliberate, informed move. The ripple effect of one move extends beyond immediate resolution. It can set the tone for future interactions, establish boundaries, and demonstrate competence and authority without continued struggle. In the case of Bruce Lee, a single action not only neutralized the immediate threat, but also communicated mastery, awareness, and control in a way that prolonged engagement could not. This teaches the value of minimalism in action sometimes. Less is more. And one intelligent, purposeful decision can have lasting influence far beyond the moment. The lesson of one move is about the intersection of preparation, awareness, timing, and strategy. Bruce Lee's encounter shows that skill alone is not enough. It must be coupled with judgment, composure, and the ability to discern when and how to intervene. This philosophy applies across all domains: business, leadership, personal growth, and self-defense. By focusing on what truly matters, identifying the decisive point of influence, and acting with clarity, one can achieve outcomes that far exceed the effort expended. This encounter also reminds us that confidence comes from mastery, not action alone. Bruce Lee did not act out of ego or desire to dominate. He acted because his understanding of the situation allowed him to resolve it efficiently. Confidence is measured not by constant activity, but by the ability to discern the moment when a single, thoughtful intervention suffices. In life, understanding when to act and acting decisively at the right moment distinguishes those who influence outcomes from those who merely react to circumstances. The story reinforces a universal truth. Strategic, intentional action outweighs chaotic effort. One well-executed move, informed by awareness, timing, and preparation, can achieve results that a flurry of uncontrolled attempts cannot. Bruce Lee's response to the five thugs exemplifies this principle perfectly, demonstrating that mastery involves not just skill, but also perception, patience, and the wisdom to act decisively only when the conditions are right. By internalizing this principle, we learn that the power of restraint, preparation, and timing can transform outcomes across all aspects of life. Bruce Lee's encounter is more than a story of martial skill. It is a lesson in strategy, perception, and the subtle art of creating impact without unnecessary expenditure of energy. One move, executed with intelligence and intention, can indeed change everything, leaving lasting influence on both the immediate situation and the broader perception of mastery. This particular encounter with the five thugs illustrates a profound truth. Mastery is far more than physical skill, strength, or combat ability. Bruce Lee's actions or deliberate choice to act with precision and restraint show that true mastery resides in the integration of mind, body, and judgment, not merely in the capacity to dominate others. In this moment, he demonstrated that being a master is about understanding the full spectrum of a situation, anticipating consequences, and selecting the response that achieves resolution without creating unnecessary turmoil. It is a form of intelligence that operates on multiple levels simultaneously, combining strategic awareness with emotional composure and technical skill. Bruce Lee's mastery was evident in the way he assessed the environment before taking any action. He observed the thugs' posture, intentions, and behavior, understanding not just their physical threat but their psychological state. This allowed him to operate with complete clarity, knowing precisely when and how to intervene if necessary. By integrating observation with deliberate thought, he turned what could have been a dangerous and chaotic scenario into a controlled, resolved situation. Mastery, therefore, is not only about reacting quickly or overpowering opponents, it is about seeing the broader picture and responding in a way that maintains balance, safety, and strategic advantage. Equally important was Bruce Lee's restraint. The encounter could have been used to assert dominance or humiliate those who threatened him, yet he chose not to escalate beyond what was necessary. This restraint is a hallmark of mastery, as it requires self-discipline and the ability to separate ego from action. By exercising control over both body and impulse, Bruce Lee demonstrated that power is not proven through aggression, but through measured decisions that achieve objectives without creating collateral harm. In life and combat alike, those who understand when to refrain from action often wield more influence than those who constantly engage. The psychological component of mastery is equally evident in this encounter. By remaining calm, focused, and deliberate, Bruce Lee projected a presence that communicated authority and capability without words. This silent demonstration of competence had an immediate effect on the aggressors, neutralizing their intimidation and leaving them uncertain, hesitant, and ultimately overpowered by the perception of mastery rather than brute force. True mastery leverages presence, awareness, and timing to shape outcomes, showing that mental acuity can be as decisive as physical ability. Mastery also encompasses foresight and anticipation. Bruce Lee did not merely react to the immediate threat, he anticipated the potential consequences of action and inaction alike. He recognized that unnecessary aggression could escalate the situation, potentially causing harm to himself or others. By choosing the path that resolved the threat efficiently and safely, he illustrated the essence of mastery, making decisions that consider the full scope of impact, not just immediate results. This foresight separates skill from mastery, demonstrating that wisdom in action is what defines a true expert. Another critical aspect of mastery displayed in this encounter is the ability to transform a threatening situation into a learning experience. Bruce Lee approached the moment with composure, turning observation and reflection into tools of understanding. Each movement, each pause, and each decision became part of a deeper insight into human behavior, the nature of conflict, and the importance of timing and restraint. Mastery is thus not limited to physical prowess, but includes the capacity to extract lessons from life's challenges, integrating them into a philosophy that informs future decisions. This event also emphasizes that mastery is about impact without unnecessary struggle. Bruce Lee's single move changed the dynamics of the encounter, demonstrating that influence does not require prolonged confrontation or excessive effort. The outcome was achieved efficiently because it was guided by insight, precision, and composure. Mastery allows one to accomplish objectives with minimal expenditure of energy and maximum effectiveness, proving that true skill lies in doing more with less and in shaping outcomes through intelligence rather than force. Mastery requires emotional control. In high-stress situations, the tendency for impulsive reactions is strong, yet Bruce Lee maintained equilibrium. He did not succumb to fear, anger, or pride. Instead, he harnessed his emotions to remain fully present, making decisions that were deliberate rather than reactive. This emotional discipline amplifies the effectiveness of physical skill and strategic thinking, demonstrating that mastery is a holistic integration of mind, body, and spirit rather than a simple measure of fighting ability. Bruce Lee's approach in this encounter also highlights the importance of ethical judgment within mastery. He did not exploit his skill to humiliate or punish unnecessarily. Instead, his actions were measured to achieve resolution while preserving dignity for all involved. Mastery is inseparable from responsibility. It is the understanding that power carries consequences and that the most skilled individuals are those who act not just effectively, but ethically. By balancing capability with conscience, Bruce Lee exemplified how mastery elevates one beyond mere technique. Mastery transcends recognition. Bruce Lee did not perform for an audience or seek approval. He acted according to principle and necessity. This reinforces the idea that true expertise and control are self-contained and do not require external validation. The decision to act thoughtfully and selectively, without the need for acclaim, embodies a form of mastery that values outcomes and integrity over spectacle. It is an understanding that the most powerful decisions often leave no visible mark, yet have the deepest effect. The encounter demonstrates that mastery is also the art of efficiency in both thought and action. Bruce Lee's movements were purposeful, conserving energy while maximizing effectiveness. Every decision, every shift in stance, and every glance carried meaning, minimizing wasted effort. Mastery is thus the ability to achieve optimal results with the least expenditure of unnecessary motion, energy, or conflict. Showing that intelligence often amplifies physical capability far beyond raw strength. Mastery incorporates continuous learning and adaptation. Even in moments of perceived threat, Bruce Lee observed, evaluated, and refined his approach in real time. This ability to adjust dynamically to the behavior of others while maintaining composure and purpose is what distinguishes true masters from skilled practitioners. Mastery is therefore an evolving process, not a fixed state, and it manifests in the capacity to respond optimally to ever-changing circumstances. Mastery is about leaving situations better than one found them. Bruce Lee's resolution neutralized the threat without escalating conflict, preserving safety and maintaining dignity. His influence extended beyond the physical encounter, instilling lessons of awareness, restraint, and psychological authority. Mastery is measured not only by immediate results but by the enduring effect of decisions, and Bruce Lee's actions exemplify the highest form of this principle. Bruce Lee's encounter with the five thugs is a profound illustration that mastery transcends fighting. It is the synthesis of awareness, restraint, judgment, ethical consideration, and precision. True mastery operates at a level where physical skill becomes inseparable from mental acuity, emotional control, and ethical understanding. It demonstrates that the ability to navigate life's challenges effectively, without unnecessary conflict or harm, defines the essence of mastery. In every movement, every pause, and every decision, Bruce Lee showed that real power is the power to act or not act with complete understanding and control, leaving outcomes aligned with wisdom rather than ego. What makes this moment unforgettable is not the physical victory, but the wisdom embedded in it. Bruce Lee's encounter with these five thugs reminds us that power is silent, precise, and guided by awareness. Victory doesn't always mean striking, it often means seeing clearly, controlling your emotions, and acting decisively only when necessary. The greatest lessons in life and martial arts are hidden in restraint, strategy, and presence. True mastery is not measured by what you defeat, but by how wisely you choose to move in moments that demand both courage and patience.